Hi, my name is Megan Sprecher, and I'm a supervising attorney with Legal Action of Wisconsin, and I'm involved with our Lawyers for Learners Student Legal Aid project. I'm going to be talking to you today about the services that we offer that can help you get ready to get the career of your dreams. We do criminal background check correction, so making sure that what is on a background check is accurate, that anything that did not result in a conviction is removed, and that all of the information is correct. Expungements, so cases where there is a conviction and you want this expunged, we can assist with that. Pardons, which are asking the governor of the state of Wisconsin to forgive or pardon a conviction. Driver's license recovery, so helping people who have a suspended or revoked driver's license or are at risk of that. Professional license recovery and application, so working on the administrative processes and hearings to obtain a license or get back a license or remove certain restrictions on a professional license. Rehabilitation reviews, so working with Department of Children and Families or Department of Health Services to do the administrative process to get someone back in the status where they're able to work in caregiving fields. Bankruptcy, especially where the bankruptcy helps the person get their driver's license back due to an uninsured motorist accident and a damage judgment. And then we can also do referrals for other areas of law. So advice on things like family law, immigration, child support, public benefit, and housing. Wanted to talk a little bit about the different records databases that we have in Wisconsin that can affect someone when they're looking for a job or trying to get a professional license. They're the CIB arrest reports. So that's essentially a record of the Department of Justice in Wisconsin, and it records any incident where someone has been fingerprinted by law enforcement. WCCA or CCAP, which includes circuit court records from across the state. It includes records from all of the counties, and it's in one database. So unlike some states, you can access anyone's criminal records from across the state by just going to one website. Records of municipal ordinance violations, so cases where there's a non-criminal conviction, a case where it's not a misdemeanor or felony, so it's not an actual criminal conviction, but it can still impact someone in job search. Also, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation's driver's license abstract, which can impact people, especially where they're looking for a job that would involve using a vehicle. Commercial background checks, which draw from a lot of the above databases, and then Child Protective Services, where they have substantiated findings of abuse and neglect. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about what a CIB is, because that's a lot of the work that we do, and it's very impactful on job search. So Wisconsin Criminal History Report, which we also call a CIB, is a report by the Wisconsin Department of Justice's Crime Information Bureau. And that's a bureau that manages the fingerprint-based criminal history records for Wisconsin. Those reports contain detailed information about arrests, arrest charges, prosecution, court findings, sentences, and state correctional system admissions and releases. Like I said, it's a record of any time a person has been fingerprinted by law enforcement. Other reports feed from this CIB report, so FBI background checks, commercial background checks, checks like that, all get their information from the CIB. So if there's an error on the CIB, for example, if something is listed as a felony conviction instead of a misdemeanor, or if something does not list the disposition and the case was actually dismissed, or a charge was amended to something less serious, if there's that mistake on the CIB, then it's also going to be on the other reports that pull from the CIB. So FBI background checks, commercial background checks, things like that. So, like I said, the CIB includes arrests by state and local law enforcement in Wisconsin where prints were taken and turned into the Department of Justice. It does not include federal arrests or fingerprinting incidents that happened outside of Wisconsin. It also does not include arrests or charges where fingerprints were not taken. It should be an accurate representation of what happened after the arrest, whether there was a prosecution or no prosecution, what the charges ended up being, if there was an amendment or a dismissal, if the person was convicted or acquitted, if expungement was ordered. All of that should be reflected on the CIB. Should only contain information for one person, but what we see where someone has been the victim of identity theft is that it can include arrest cycles for another person, and that's also something that we can assist with. This is the cover sheet for a CIB, which someone can pull on a person if they have the person's full name and date of birth and pay $7. This is what the body of the CIB looks like. So it's broken down into different cycles. So you can see this is arrest cycle number 2. It includes the arrest data, like the date of arrest, the police department or law enforcement agency that made the arrest, what the arrest was for, in this case, disorderly conduct. And then we can also see that the disposition for both charges of disorderly conduct or both sequences of disorderly conduct was that they were dismissed. So why look for help if you've been fingerprinted or arrested? So, as we know, criminal records have always been a problem for people seeking jobs and housing and different things. But the stigmatizing impact of a record is much worse now because these records are widely available. They're very inexpensive to get, and they're available on a lot of different electronic databases. And even a minor criminal record, so a misdemeanor conviction or a civil conviction, one of those non criminal convictions, can create a lot of different barriers that make it difficult for people to get employment and housing, among other things. In Wisconsin, we have over 704 statutes, regulations, and other provisions that limit people's rights and freedoms when they have a criminal record. We call those collateral consequences. A lot of these statutes have no basis in public safety and really serve no other purpose than making it difficult for people to rebuild their lives. So let's talk about a student scenario. So John is about to graduate with a Human Services Associate's degree. About 5 years ago, he was arrested for retail theft. He got a court date for the case where the prosecuting attorney agreed to dismiss the charge. The case does not show on WCCA or CCAP. Should John still work with student legal aid? Even though the case is not online, not on CCAP, the charge still would show on his CIB, his background check. And that's something, since the arrest did not result in a conviction, that's something that student legal aid would be able to assist John with removing from his background check. So even though it's not on CCAP, it could still harm John in trying to get employment or housing. And that's something that student legal aid would be able to help him with. Another important thing to think about is how long records stay on CCAP. So we've had some recent changes. So now criminal and civil cases where the disposition was a dismissal or an acquittal are removed after 2 years. So from 2 years after the dismissal or the acquittal happened. For convictions, if the case was resolved as a felony, so if the final conviction was for a felony, this case stays on CCAP for 50 or 75 years, depending on the class of felony. For criminal traffic and misdemeanor convictions, the cases stay on CCAP for 20 years. For civil cases, including injunctions or protection orders, those stay on for 20 years. And then for forfeitures, those non-criminal convictions, and then regular traffic cases, those come off CCAP after 5 years. An important thing to remember is that even if a case is old enough based on that list to drop off CCAP, it will stay on if any money is owed. So if any court costs or restitution are owed, the case would stay on CCAP even if it's been the requisite number of years. Expunged convictions are removed almost immediately. CCAP does a reboot every weekend, and so any cases that are set to come off would come off after the reboot of the weekend. So, what does it mean when the court expunges a record? When a court record is expunged, the court seals the entire criminal case file and does not allow anyone to access the file without a court order. If someone asks about the case, the person will be told that no other information is available. And on WCCA or CCAP, a search for the defendant's name or the case number will not return the case. Another type of case that we assist students with are gubernatorial pardons, asking the governor of the state of Wisconsin for a pardon for a felony conviction. So, a pardon is a grant of forgiveness from the governor, and it restores certain civil rights and privileges and relieves some legal disabilities. It can help with professional licensing, and it can just help with finding employment or housing in general. It does not seal the record, but the public records are all updated to reflect that the conviction was pardoned by the governor. Each governor has discretion of how, when, and if to grant pardons. Why seek a pardon? A pardon can help someone be able to obtain certain professional licenses or certifications that their conviction bars. It allows someone to hold public office again, own a firearm, travel to certain countries, and other things as well. A pardon does not keep someone's criminal record from showing up on background checks, but applicants often say that a pardon makes them more attractive to prospective employers and landlords. So, pardon won't fix all the challenges faced by someone with a criminal conviction, but it can have a tremendous impact on the person's life. So let's talk about another student. Anna is in a health-related program. She has a felony drug-related conviction. She's concerned that her conviction, even though it happened many years ago, will impede her ability to get a field placement, license, or a job. How can student legal aid help? First, what we would do is we would go through Anna's background check to see if there are any other things that we could get removed, corrected. Then what we would do is we would talk to Anna about the potential for a gubernatorial pardon. We would talk to her about her background and what she was hoping to do with her career, and then place her with a volunteer attorney or a staff attorney to help her with the pardon process, help her with the application, with gathering the supporting documents, submitting everything to the pardon board and the notices to the district attorney and clerk of courts, and then later on, at a hearing, helping her prepare for the hearing. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions. My contact information is here. My email address is mls@legalaction.org, and my direct phone number is 608-509-7525. We also have a link on the Madison College website where people can request legal assistance. Thank you.